That's good coffee. This is kind of like a part 2 follow-up to a video I did last year about international photography, travel, what I packed. So I've been fortunate enough to get paid to travel for like bigger companies, bigger brands, and smaller brands too. But I'm actually learning to travel like in a more stripped down, efficient, economic way. So I'm going to get what I bring into a Think Tank 30-liter focus point roll top and I think it's the press pass. So these 2 bags, that's it. Now I will have a suitcase that my girlfriend and I share when we travel, but I'm not throwing anything expensive camera gear into a suitcase, obviously, with a couple kind of minor exceptions. So let's jump into it. I'm sure I'll kind of mulch over the same crap, but yeah, let's get into the packing portion and some of the philosophy. First things first, the gimbal. I think back to my second time in Switzerland, first hiking trip to Switzerland, bringing this gimbal along and it just being an absolute waste of space, waste of weight. So I'm bringing my Sony a7R5. It's an amazing hybrid, does everything I need it to. This is the beast. I am currently filming this video on my FX3 with a Tamron 20-40. That is not coming with me. Neither the Tamron 20-40 nor the FX3, but Sony a7R5, that's the workhorse. The workhorse lens is going to be my 24-70 G Master version 2. Let's get that in focus. Where's the G? There's the G. Boom. This thing is unbelievable. It's an amazing lens. The second lens I'm bringing is the 70-200 G Master version 2. This is another workhorse. And these 2 lenses, when I travel, are always in my bag. So you have 24 all the way up to 200 covered, and yeah, they're perfect. This is one where for wildlife stuff, I've been kind of going back and forth, but I do bring it. And especially now with my current bag setup, I can make this really easy and not have to worry about bringing everything into a 36-liter bag. But this is the Sigma 150-600. Great lens, pretty heavy, but does a great job with wildlife stuff. And I'll show you when we get to the packing section why bringing this lens and loving to shoot wildlife, why it's not even a question anymore. There was a couple trips where I was on the fence about bringing this because of its weight and size. Now it's a no-brainer. I love it, especially when you get into birds, wildlife, anything from a distance. And it's really good for video. I really love it for video. Obviously, the variable aperture of 5 to 6.3 is, you're not gonna see this on like sidelines of NFL games and maybe National Geographic, embedded wildlife photographer shoots. But for my purposes, especially for video, it's great. And it's great for photos too. One of the big questions with lenses is this. This is the Sirui 50mm 1.33x anamorphic. I believe it's an f1.8. Great little lens. I've gotten a lot of good shots with this lens on my website portfolio. I've worked it into different projects. I've even got some good photos with this lens. It does have a little bit of weight to it, and it's not that big. Like you can see, it's really not that big, but I go back and forth because the problem with bringing this lens is that unless I were to bring a monitor, which I'll get to in a second, I don't have the D-squeeze option built into the Sony a7R5. The FX3 that I'm filming on has it now built in, but the a7R5 does not. So if I'm not bringing a monitor, then what's the point of bringing this? I can kind of like eyeball it with the squeeze on and hope to get lucky, but this one is a big question mark. I have my small HD Focus 7 that I'm using to film this video on. This is just the Atomos Shinobi, which I really don't love this monitor. I'm not bringing this, so it's going out of the way, and that kind of dictates that I might not bring this anamorphic, as I mentioned. One thing I am thinking about for some video footage is bringing the top handle. Now, if I bring this top handle, this is one where, like I mentioned, I'll have some stuff that I'll just throw in a suitcase. This isn't gonna, be something that you'd have to worry about losing or your suitcase being opened up. It's not some, super valuable electronics. So this is probably gonna go in my suitcase. That way I have the top handle for shots around some of our Airbnbs, shorter walks, shorter hikes. I'm not gonna probably bring this out when I do major hikes, but it's good to have. Speaking of the suitcase, I've done this on a couple trips. So this is my Tilta. It's like a travel tripod, really good, nice fluid head. My only complaint with this tripod is this little, the handle broke pretty quickly after getting it, where it only goes out one length. It's supposed to go out 3 lengths. And when you take it out any more past 1, it just pops right off, which is super annoying. So this is one where for 2 trips to Italy, when I was doing a lot of filming for my friend's culinary travel company, I brought this. And what I do is I actually wrap this up in my yoga mat and it goes in the suitcase. This is like a $200 to $230 tripod. Again, it's nothing, that's not cheap, but it's also not any sort of crazy expensive electronic that is gonna warrant your suitcase being rummaged through. I'm obviously never putting a lens or a camera in the suitcase because you don't want it to get damaged, but this in a yoga mat can get really tossed around. So this is going in my suitcase. I definitely want it for some landscape stuff. Converters for the outlets, boom, super important to have these for your European outlets. This is a little, what is it, Polson maybe? I forget, let's see. Yeah, Polson. It's a little cheapy $30 microphone. Works really well with the dead cat for just outdoor wildlife stuff, and it's tiny. I mean, this can just be, scrunched up super small. So yeah, I don't bring the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. I don't bring my Sennheiser that I'm recording this video on. I bring this because it's tiny and it's good enough for capturing any bird, wildlife sounds, any sort of atmosphere, thunder, rain, whatever. So this works really good. Peter McKinnon 2 to 5 stop variable ND, definitely coming with. I do end up bringing this Tiffin 82 millimeter Black Pro Mist. I think it's a 1/8 Pro Mist. So I'll bring that, especially when you get to places that have like 4 seasons in a day, lots of rain, mist, things like that, good sunsets. I do like having this for photography purposes and for video as well. Step up rings, super light, doesn't take up space. Good to have. Action 5 Pro, had a lot of fun with this in Puerto Rico. Been having a lot of fun with this lately. Definitely bringing this. And my only complaint with bringing the NDs is that, there's the ND case. My only complaint there is that this is just a cumbersome case. It's not heavy, but it's kind of big and it takes up space. So gotta have it though. This is a big one for me. I bring 2 batteries. Yes, 2.
Utah, give me 2.
2 batteries, that's it. This is what I bring. I've never been hiking for a day and been on a trip where I've gone through 2 batteries. Usually going through 1 is kind of a rare occurrence, and I can always charge, whatever at the end of the night. So it's just like, I'm not shooting interviews, I'm shooting random little vignettes. I'm shooting photos, I'm shooting videos, little vignettes of hiking, of the outdoors, of wildlife, of us, maybe of cities, towns, villages. And I have never, knock on wood, gone through more than 2 batteries. So it's just all about saving space, saving weight when you travel. Speaking of, I don't bring the big battery brick charger things. I just bring this at the end of every night. You just plug the camera right into the wall. That's how we charge everything. This is a big question mark. I talked about this in my last video, the drone. This is the Mini 4 Pro. It's a great drone. I love it. I always want to go through the proper channels. I think on this trip, I'm going to bring it and go through those proper channels. I am a commercially licensed pilot here in the US, but in Europe, obviously you have to register the drone. I think it's anything 250 or, if it has a camera on, it's gotta be registered. So, and a lot of just common sense law. I think I'm gonna register it. You obviously, same as the US, you stay out of national parks, all that. The only catch with this is like the remote, which is great, is almost like twice the size of the drone. Not really twice the size, but I think I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna see how everything packs. This is obviously not something I would throw in a suitcase. Nothing outside of the tripod and the top handle would be something I'd throw in a suitcase. So, gonna bring these Rode mics. These are great to have for the Action 5 Pro and for the A7R5. They're awesome for a little bit of vlogging, as it were. And on that note, just to go back to the Action 5 Pro, I was playing around with this on a recent trip to Killington, Vermont. This would be probably the last thing I would throw in a suitcase. So this is just one little suction cup for a car gripper thingy. What's it called? Yeah, it was a cheap one. My buddy gave it to me. So it's just the suction cup, one little arm attachment. I don't need an extension. And this has been really nice to, at least the, 2 times I've tried it now, just put it on the dashboard of the car, go like that. This just screws right in there. The Action 5 Pro screws right in there. So it was really cool to practice some time lapses with this for driving stuff. Probably the most important thing. You ain't getting anywhere without this. 2 sensor swabs and a little bit of the solution rocket air blower. I'm gonna bring a bunch of these lens cloths. Cheapy JBL headphones, good for editing at night so you're not, disturbing someone. So this is just a little adapter to get the SD card in. This goes with. I think for this trip, and again, this is like kind of minuscule, but this is a 4 terabyte. Usually I buy 2 terabytes. I think for this trip, I'm just going to bring this 256 gig. It came with the purchase of this external hard drive. And I just don't envision I'm gonna be filming and photographing more than 256 gigs. It also saves me the worry of potentially losing, not that I would, but just bringing this, having anything go wrong with the 4 terabyte, which I have like a lot of other stuff on here, client work, everything else. And then lastly, the Pro Grade reader. This is what I'm bringing. Let's see if we can get it packed. And I still don't know what to do with this. I want it. I want to bring it for some anamorphic shots. It's a cheapy lens. It goes for like $200-300 now. It was $800 when it came out. I don't know if I want to spray and pray and shoot more stuff because I can't de-squeeze the image and I don't know what's in focus. So I'm kind of on the fence. Let's see how everything else packs and then we'll go from there. All right, first things first, we have the press pass. So gotta move this screw here. My Sigma 150 to 600 is going right in here, nice and snug. This is where I'll also put other stuff in here. This will just go in here. We have this slot here, so it could go there. And this is where things like, again, my headphones, NDs for the drone, cell phone charger, computer charger, our Pro Mist is gonna go right in the front here. The Peter McKinnon is also going right in the front here because it's flat. The step-up rings, whether I bring 1 or I bring 3, are also gonna go in here because they're flat. Little things like lens cloths, the rocket air blower, that's gonna go in there as well. The NDs for the Action 5 Pro. Slide this over, go like that, boom. I think even stuff like this, the SD card reader and the Rode mics, the wireless mics, I think these are gonna fit in here perfectly fine. And it's just gonna save space in the bag for later. What I do wanna be careful of is these magnets. I don't like these to touch anything or to be facing anything electronic. I even get nervous with them facing like lens elements. I know that's not, it's probably a little bit of a, paranoia, but so I'll usually just take the magnetized side and face it away from anything. Just slide it down there. Since we put the Rode mics in there, might as well leave the little dead cat in there with it. Same with the cord for the Rode mics, that can go in there with it. So I think the press pass is pretty good. Yes, it's got some weight to it, but this is your, your personal item. So it just literally slides into the seat in front of you. So there you have it. We got everything nice and secure. So the micro SD card reader, USB-C cable for charging and transferring data. My literal drive that I'll be putting everything on. The lens swabs can go in there too. I think the solution's just gonna go in my, toiletry bag, so I'll put that off to the side. Throw our 70 to 200 in. So one thing I'll do is when I start throwing stuff in, sometimes I'll leave these dividers. I feel like they just offer a little bit more padding. Sometimes I'll lay this flat like so, my A7R5, sometimes I'll go here. I wanna see how everything fits because you can also just throw the rain cover in here to kind of shore it up. So I threw one of the batteries in the camera. I could end up bringing a third, but now I wanna take good care of this bad boy. 24 to 70 is gonna go right here. And then I think with this slot right here, that feels a little too tight for the drone. I wanna see if the remote, yes, see that does fit there because I've put this here before. And then we got a little wiggle room. So that looks good there. Now I can just throw this charger here, throw an extra battery, really anywhere it fits. Boom, nice and tight. And this mic's not gonna hurt anything. It's nice and fluffy, it's nice and soft. That can just kind of go right there. Boom. So in this top section, it's got a lot of really good padding. It's got these two magnets right here and this heavy duty latch, which is really nice. Just lay this down so you can see. Now I have the space in the wiggle room to throw this kind of in this little case I usually put it in. And it's always good to just have an extra case anyway. You never know when this comes up. So now it's just got that little extra padding, a little bit more peace of mind. And now it just goes right down there. Put this in this little tiny case, just a little extra protection, which is nice to have. Goes right next to the drone. You can kind of see it there. We got the Action 5 Pro, we got the drone, and now we also have on this side, there it is, our little laptop slot, which is really nice. Also, before I close this up, I think now I can kind of run the risk of, it's not that heavy, throwing the anamorphic in. And then if I get some sunsets at an Airbnb and it's not too much trouble, I can practice some stuff, take a lot of shots with it because it is hard to nail focus. It's a manual focus lens. It's hard to nail focus without the image being de-squeezed. But now I think I can run the risk of bringing this. It's not too much weight. The bag's fine. So everything's in there nice and tight. Hit those magnets. Boom. There you have it. Everything I showed that I was bringing is going to fit in these two bags. And the beauty of this now, where I used to bring a 36 liter huge bag that had to go in the overhead storage, the beauty of this now is this bag is small enough and compact enough. It might not look like it, but it's small enough and compact enough that this can slide in the seat, you know, underneath the seat in front of me. And this bag is small enough that it can honestly just tuck right up against it. Yo, I'm an idiot. I completely forgot to mention that those couple trips that I was on the fence about bringing the 150 to 600 because of its size and weight, and I didn't want to really go on longer hikes with like a 36 liter bag. Now it's a no-brainer because, as you already saw, I can pack it in the sling, goes right at my feet. So traveling, like flying with it, is not an issue. But what's beautiful now is that even in the Focus Point roll top 30 liter, this bag is not billed as being able to fit this lens, which it can't in the main equipment section. But now for, like, you know, nature preserves, wildlife refuges, even like shorter walks in national parks, maybe not like all day hikes, but the beauty is I can fit this lens right in the roll top section perfectly. So it's like, you know, I always brought it anyway on trips, and I kind of struggled with like where to pack it, how to bring it, and then I would bring like a big heavy 36 liter on my hikes. Now it fits in this bag, in the roll top section, which is also great for easy access. And this bag also I like because it rides like up high and snug, which I really like from a bag if I'm walking farther. So I just wanted to mention that the 150 to 600, when I'm out doing smaller hikes or wildlife refuges and things like that, fits perfectly in the top rolling section of the Focus Point roll top. Everything I showed you on the table that I'm bringing fits in these two bags and goes right at my feet. It's right there. I don't need to worry about it. I'm not gonna crush it. And it's such a good system now. And I'm super happy with how it works for me for the kinds of trips I do.